chat, and we can have a look at that. You guys can see me. Are you getting me through this? I've just got a streaming error here. Have a look here. Not here. Okay. We can have a look. Open widget. Video. Okay, so I'm not sure exactly what that is because I should have internet here running on Ethernet. And g'day, welcome to take 2 of episode 13. It's just been a weird morning. Let me just, something was going on with the streaming there, so this is my second start of the show. I think you probably caught some of that before, and then there was like buffering errors and things weren't rolling and all that sort of stuff that just goes on in a live stream from time to time. And then I reset my A10, which is why I've got that weird wipe at the front rather than the dissolve. So there's a bunch of things going on here. So you may have heard my intro. I'm not entirely sure what went through to air and what didn't go through to air. It looks like we are live and everyone is here. So let me know on the chat if you're getting me through on this. I will do a quick run through of who we got here. Looks like we've got, let me see. So where are you joining from? We've got Eric in Rochester, New York. Good to be here. We've got Bubble in San Antonio. We got a little bit of feedback from Las Vegas that the audio was choppy. And we got Jules looking forward to the show. So I am looking forward to that as well. So hopefully we can get started on that. So my NAB was this week, which you guys have probably been following. I have been working around the clock, so I haven't had time to check all the updates and all that kind of stuff. So initially I had slated this show to be like, let's take a look at some of the coolest stuff that's come out, but I haven't had time to do a deep dive. So to do it justice, I wanted to focus on Davinci Resolve Cloud because that's the thing that's caught my attention the most as a workflow that could transform the way that we edit across a whole lot of collaboration tools. So on today's show, I want to do 2 things. One is we'll take a little look through Cloud. I have had to play with it. I've had some troubles with it as well in terms of reliability between libraries. So I don't know if that's just on my end, because obviously I'm having streaming problems, or if that's to do with, like I've got a M1 Mac and I've got an Intel Mac here, so I've got 2 computers on separate networks and we can test that out. And then after that, what I want to do is, if you have any questions about Companion, of course, drop that in the chat and we can take a look at that. And then we'll be out of here just before the top of the hour. So that's what we got today. All right, so couple more comments as we go here. We've got JB Windle from Thailand. Good to have you here on the show. Apologies about that emoji not showing up. That is a flag symbol, but I'm running H2R through a Pi, and I don't think the Pi has the emojis in it. We've got Aaron from Ontario in Canada, and Meteor, how do you say that? Meteor Rex was at NAB on Sunday and Monday. So I hope that was enjoyable. I was hoping to get it out there last minute, but I had way too many things on back here in New York, so I wasn't able to make the trip. I feel like every year I'm like, I am going to go to NAB. I'm also like, I'm going to go South by Southwest or something like that. So, and then of course there's been a pandemic, so that gets in the way of things. All right, so Stream health is looking good. I don't know what that was. I'm going to blame it on the ATEM. I feel like there was something in the ATEM that was like caching and it wasn't sending it through. I don't think it was my internet. I'm not sure. Okay, so let's take a look at Davinci Resolve Cloud, and I will bring this up here. Let me have a look. Okay, so if I can get my buttons right here. All right, full screen. Let's hide these. Always show toolbar in full screen. No, we don't want to see that. All right, full page here. Homepage of Davinci Resolve, of Blackmagic has Davinci Resolve 18, and what we're looking at with these fine folks is the cloud solution, multi-user collaboration, and particularly this sort of thing. So not a single user project. We're looking at multi-user collaboration. Previously, you could set up your own cloud server, and you could also, let me just get rid of this. Sorry. I'm trying to clear comments here. Jules, yes, I will. I do plan to go to the New York one. I have been to the New York one. That's an easier lift for me. All right, clear those comments off. So let's jump into Resolve and take a look. So we have, let's go over here, projects. Okay, so when you go into Resolve now, they've got this new interface where we've got local, network, and cloud. So previously you would have your local drives here that is pretty familiar. You could also down here in this, you could have your projects that are shared across a network. So it was great if you're in like a production environment in the one location, but then if you've got people like we had in the pandemic who are not coming into the office and they're at home, then you need to set up a server in the cloud. So there's two aspects to this. One is that you need the media stored locally, and you need the project database to be in the cloud, so you've got that all in sync. So I don't have a network set up. And then when you click on cloud, it'll actually go to the internet and reload it. So like I said, I was having trouble with this morning when I was trying to set it up. So I don't know if it's Resolve or if that is me, because basically what I've got here is that this laptop, which is my older MacBook Pro, which is a Intel one. I don't know if that was my bug that was happening as well. That is running on a completely different network. So, and have like a tethered dongle type thing through the mobile phone. So the idea here is that these are completely isolated. Even though I'm sitting at the same desk, this would be a editor in Brooklyn somewhere cutting stuff for me, and I would be back here in the office, and I could be giving them notes straight into the program and sort of reviewing things and doing color correction from here, so that someone else can be handling editorial and getting rough cuts and things into shape as we go through. So so what that looks like is, I've got a few, as you can see, I've got a couple of test projects here. When you start a new project, if you right click, you need to, if I go live stream. Okay, so we started a new project and we are in here, and this is where, hopefully this will work. Actually, let's sorry, I'm jumping around a bit here, but let's back up, which is, before we do that, we want to bring in proxies. So what they've also got in Davinci Resolve is down here, this Blackmagic proxy generator. So with Davinci Resolve 18, you can open, that'll come with it and just sits in the applications. And you can very simply, like this, just very simple application. So I'm just doing H.264 8-bit 420 half res 1080p. This is going to be a very simple proxy. I'm actually going to remove this one. So this is how you'll come into it, right? So let's just say that I have, what have I done with this? On my desktop, I have some footage, and I've got two files. One's a 1 gig file, which is a couple of seconds, and this is from like a C200 in RAW. The other one is about 20 gig for about a 2-minute file. I'm just going to start with this smaller one. So what I can do is on my desktop, I've got, and this could be anywhere on your computer, a proxy watch folder. And I'm just going to drag that proxy watch folder into here. And so now that is watching it. And if I click start, it's just in a waiting mode. So I then need to drop footage in. So let's just say you're on a shoot and footage is being shot. And as those cards are finished, you could be backing them up to this folder that you've set. It doesn't have to be called proxy watch folder, but you would just set it to that. And so now, just say this footage thing here is my media card coming in, and I could just copy it under there. I'm just going to drag this in. So I'm going to drag that in, and you'll see here it's already done. It's pretty quick. I'll drag in this bigger one too, so because it went very, very fast. So this is a 2-minute raw file on a C200. As you can see, it's ripping through that pretty well on the M1 Max computer, the Mac computer that I've got. All right, so coming through there. Excellent. Okay, so now we've got our proxy footage. These are the sort of drone shots that you've seen on this channel before. It's just my test stuff. I could just, they're MP4s, but I could just drag them in there anyway. So what it's done is it's created this proxy subfolder. And here we have this footage. So this is some stuff we shot in New York. This shot here. This woman walking along with the Empire State Building in the background. And then these MP4s of MP4s. That's probably pretty loud. All right. Cool. All right, so that's a very simple way to make proxies, and then you've got very low-res files that you can turn off to, like send off to an offline editor who can work with that, and then you can reattach them later. So Resolve has had a big jump, I think, in terms of how it handles proxies and how it does media relinking, which I think is meant to be very simple, although I haven't quite got to the simple bit yet. So I got to play with that. Because a lot of this happens across Dropbox. I'm just going to quit this proxy generator. And now we've got our footage. And the idea here is that, so in this folder here, what I've got is a, sorry, you cannot see that. Let's cut across here. In this folder, this is my Dropbox. So I've just created a shared folder on Dropbox, and I've put that in, and I've shared it with an editor, which in this case is my other account, but it could be a separate Dropbox account. And then this footage should come across. I'm going to delete this stuff because that was my test stuff before. And so you could actually have your watch folder on the Dropbox. So all of this could be automated. I just didn't want to like send all of these files across the internet. I just want to do the proxies. So I'm just going to copy these and just drag them in. And now let me go to, hang on, where are we down here? I'm going to cut to, so this is the desktop view of my other computer, and you can see that here, these ones have just popped in here. So Dropbox is keeping the media in sync across the internet. This is how we're organizing our media. All right, I'm going to go back to my other computer. That's this one, which is so that was the Intel, and then this is the M1 that is in here. Okay, so now we've got to go to, let me come back to the cloud. If you want to get the cloud going, now they've got this little like login thing here, and you can click on that, and you'll be able to, there'll be like a page that pops up where you put in your email and a password, and anyone can do this. This is, it's free to have a user ID. You pay $5 for a project server, but it's free to have a user ID. So you might have a production agency that has set up the server, and then the editor would just create an ID so that we have like a separate account on the in the collaboration part of Davinci Resolve. So settings, what do we got here? Yeah, this is just my main account here with the billing details, and then project server. You can see these other ones that if I flick over to Davinci Resolve and go to this, I've got my test project collab, delete one, and test project. So let's go back, full screen. So it's just going to show me what projects are sitting within the database. So this particular database is one that I set up on, it's not East Coast US, but somewhere in the US. But you can set them up in Europe and that kind of stuff. And as I was saying, this is what you would pay $5 per server for, and people would be able to see everything within this. So if you have different clients, you might want a different project per client, or you might want to pick a server that is closer to the location of where you're working. But essentially, we can then, we've got our, so USA, Ohio, this is the one that I've got, and I've got my master, like my company, Refilmery, has this as the main account, and then I've added myself as a collaborator under a different email address. So that's what the other computer is using down here. All right, so I got my 3 projects, and that's what the back end of that looks like. You can sort of download or restore libraries and that kind of stuff from that interface. Okay, so now this is this is the tricky part where it was starting to cut out. And let me see. How about we just start a new project? So we're in the cloud. I'm on my main computer. I'm going to go live stream test. All right. So we've started this project. And I'm going to bring in my, where are we? Footage. So the idea is that I would bring in my footage, like my C200 stuff. I can change that. And this is raw footage. If I reveal in Finder here, I can see that this is the 20 gigabyte file that I'm working with. You'll notice here it says proxies none because these haven't been relinked. So I could right click them and go relink proxy media, which I put under, I think I put a shortcut here, test projects. So this is the one that I've got on my Dropbox. This is all the proxies. And I clicked, and there it is. And it's just at the folder level, it's found the media that is associated with it. So now if I click this, that is the project that's going along there. Let's jump over to the edit page. I'm going to create a new timeline using selected clips. I'm just going to call this timeline 1. And this is our footage here. I should probably listen, make sure I'm not giving you crazy sound. Okay, and let's just bring in a second clip because obviously that's more fun. Actually, I'm going to go find it here. Not that one, sorry. I'm going to be at a bit of a ferry. Wait for the person to pass. And go up to here. Dump that in. And then we've got the person there, 2 shots, and I want to go back to this one, World Trade Center. Okay, so we've got a bit of New York City, scrub ahead up to World Trade Center, go back somewhere there. All right, put that in there. Cool. And we've got our 3 clips in the timeline. I'm just going to delete the audio. Excellent. All right, so we've got 3 clips in the timeline. These are raw clips, but under playback proxy handling prefer proxies, it's referencing the proxy footage. So that is what is making it play back very easily, and you don't have to stress it out. So, I mean, for my backup, as I think I've showed you on the channel before, I use, give me a sec here. I've got these Western Digital, My Passport, 5 terabyte drives. So that's where you can go to a shoot and you've got 1 or 2 terabytes very easily of raw footage, and they can now sit on these drives. It takes a little bit longer to copy onto them, but you could just generate proxies, which are then very small files sitting on your computer, so you can just go sit on the couch and edit, and you can be using the proxy media, and this raw footage is just sitting there for like color grading and final output. Because you can also, under, if I just go 8, so I'm jumping across the export page here, and let's go back to here. So under my export page, if I come down to advanced settings, I can go use proxy media if I don't have the originals attached, and I can just export from that. All right, so I'm going to jump back to here. Now, I want to be working with my this remote computer. So this computer that I've got here, which is in a little bubble, it's not connected to the same network or anything like that. It's completely separate. I need to bring in that project. So let me go to close. Now, I feel like it takes a little while to refresh. But what I'm looking at is, let me have a look. Nope, I'm gonna get myself on here. All right, so now I'm looking at the screen of the other computer, and I'm not seeing, there we go. Took a while to refresh, live stream test. That's where this project is coming through. Now, I can either open it or open in read-only mode. The other thing that I didn't mention before was, if I go back to this, so this is my M1 Mac, bring up this project. I actually need to right click because by default, this is set to single user project. And so if you're trying to do multi-user, you will find that the other one you won't be able to get into it. So I'm gonna go multiple user collaboration and turn that on. And now it has that little icon here where everyone can see that we're collaborating. I'm actually just gonna close it and then open it again, just because I feel like sometimes it gets a bit stuck. All right, but now we're in this collaboration thing. I've got my timeline. Just turn on my tabs here so I can see what I'm doing. All right, and over on this one, this is where we are going to, again, I might just like go back to local, go back to the cloud, get it to refresh because it didn't have that icon. It seems like it takes a little bit of time to do the whole, where are we? Go back to here, live stream test. Okay, so now this has, you're looking at the right one? Yes, we're looking at my Intel computer. It has this little collaboration icon here, and I can open it now and start to edit, or else I could open in read-only mode if I don't want to like mess anything up. All right, so I'm gonna double click that, and it's gonna open up. Ta-da! Now, that is, I'm not even sure how I did this. Yeah. But that is pretty cool. I wasn't doing that before, but this is actually a good demo of like, do you just see what happened there? Which is like, this computer, I'm so glad this worked because I wasn't expecting it to work. All right, so this computer that I'm looking at here is completely off-site for all intents and purposes. This is the problem that I've been having. Ensure your connection to the internet is active. Restart your network connection and try again. This is on solid internet and Resolve keeps dropping out. So this is another problem that I've been having. Okay, great. This might keep popping up. All right, so we're gonna go back in. It seems to keep dropping me off. But in terms of proxies and access, this purple line across here is showing that we're using proxies. So if I right click, find in media pool, and if I right click, reveal in Finder, it can't actually find the media. There's no media on this computer, no original media. And then I'm not sure if I can actually find, no, I can't, okay. I was trying to find where the proxies are, but, jeez. So, okay, so I keep having this internet problem, which is gonna like destroy me. And I don't think it's my internet I think is okay. I think it's something to do with Resolve's, I don't know, it's looking for the library and I can't find it in the cloud. But here, if I go back to my media pool proxy, it is automatically found this, which is on a, like, it's on a different, I'm pretty sure it is, unless I've got the same link and it's just doing it by coincidence. I guess I do have the same link. I think this is a thing where you would need to like set the media pool of like where it's getting the images from. It keeps kicking me out. So this is where I'm going to fall apart. And this is obviously showing a very bad collaboration here. But this computer is playing back proxies that were put into this Dropbox folder. So on this computer, all it has is these proxy versions of the media, which if I, double click this and do inspector, you can see here we're looking at footage which is 960 by 506. So this is a very small media file. This is like, well, it's not super small, I guess, but 185 meg as opposed to 20 gigabytes of footage. Okay, so I don't know what this user database issue is, but that's kind of the idea of that you would get with that. So as long as this user database issue doesn't always keep popping up, this could be a really cool way to work because, you know, essentially this is my assistant editor in Brooklyn who doesn't need to be shipped a drive, you know, it doesn't need to be shipped 2 terabytes of footage, doesn't need to wait for a ton of original footage to download. They can just log on to their cloud, like they can use their ID. So I can click in and it's crashed. All right. As I said, I've been having some problems with it. So I think there's a lot of promise in here, but in terms of stability, I'm yet to like fully test it out and make sure it's robust because you do not want to be like knee deep in a client project and then you cannot get onto delivering your project. So. Let's take a little look at questions, see what people are saying. All right. Bunch of shoppy. Eric says, media relinking is definitely where the rubber meets the road for this workflow. Yeah, I think from, trying to see if we've got, where is this? Hang on. Nope. Black. I was trying to show you some. Oh, now I can't see my always show toolbar in full screen. There we go. Blackmagic Design Cloud. Go to my back button. Go back to here. Okay, so you can see what I'm doing. And I got to get rid of this. One sec. My bad. Oh man, full screen on the Chrome. Oh, it's an effort today. All right, let's pull this one over here. That was an effort. Okay, totally forgot what I was going to say there. Relinking, dynamic. It says it's somewhere in here, but it says it's got like dynamic relinking. It's probably, nope, can't find it. It's somewhere in there. That was a weird lift. All right, so yes, I think it does it more like dynamic relinking, which is always the problem. So because before you could always like send a project file, like you'd email out a project file to someone. Obviously it's not live updating. And then you could also send media over Dropbox and you could relink it. But the project in the cloud is essentially becoming a Google Doc where everyone is working on the same project at the same time, and then that's just like a very small database file which is sitting in the cloud, and then you need the massive amounts of media to access. So now you can input like all your proxy media, all your original media, just where you're doing a color grading or like in the main studio, and then you can have offline editors who are working with proxies to get the sort of editorial and content together. And they only need smaller files, and they can be relinked across Dropbox. So that's the promise there. All right, he says the timeline is working, which is good. So he says, Jules says, let me see if I understand correctly. Collaboration can be set up without buying any of the new products. I think so. I mean, I have the studio version, which is the $300 version. I think all of this collaboration in cloud is available on the free version. You might need to check that. But the only cost there would be the $5 a month for the project server, which is a great deal because you need, like if I close down my computer, whoever's trying to work on that project somewhere else, they need access to that. So it always needs to be on and accessible. And it needs to be this centralized database, hence why it's in the cloud. And if you are technically savvy, there's a way that you could do that and set up your own server on like AWS or all that kind of stuff. But I have dicked around with it enough to be like, this is not worth my time. Like the $5 a month is such a great deal to have that all built into Resolve, and as long as it's not crashing like it was before, and it's robust and reliable. I mean, technically this is a beta version of 18, so we shall see if it gets solid. But this cloud collaboration is only going to work. Sorry, I just pull this question off. Yeah, this Davinci Resolve cloud collaboration is only going to work if editing becomes as simple as editing a Google Doc. It needs to be something where an editor who is more about story and not like an IT expert can basically download the application, log into their account, and then all of the media will be there, and it'll just sort of sync across Dropbox. Like if we can get it to that level, that's where this will become, a very powerful tool for people to, share with editors remotely and producers, and just sort of like distribute things out. It's also something where you could, like on a shoot, like have this stuff starting to generate proxies and putting the proxies into the cloud. And then you have an editor who's starting to cut while you're still shooting. It could be lunchtime, getting all of those, as you offload that media, is automatically generating the proxies as we saw in the encoder. And then that is just done within a Dropbox folder, so it's automatically uploading it to the cloud. And then you have an editor who is starting to cut that, and you can send back, short lists and string outs and dailies, and just sort of get you the information that you need to know that, like, have we got the shot? Yeah. What else we got? And also gather, one must use the paid version. I don't think you have to use the paid version. I think it's just the $5 a month that would do that. Yeah. Excellent. Any other questions about Resolve that you want to know? Let me know. Drop them in the chat. Otherwise, if anyone has questions about Companion, we could jump over to that. We've probably got about 10 minutes or so remaining to talk about things. What do we got going on over here? Proxy Gen. I think I covered everything that I wanted to talk about. Resolve Cloud. I think the other thing was that I'm curious to check out, and I don't know if I'll buy this or not, is, let's go back to Blackmagic. Here we are, the Cloud Pod. So this is something where, again, I'm going to try and clean up my page for you guys. All right, is that a bit cleaner? Good. So this Cloud Pod is $400, and you bring your own BYO SSD card. Now, if we check out this DIT fellow here who's receiving a drive from, like an OSA camera, I guess, which is, so I've got it plugged in over here. I'm recording this to a SanDisk SSD. On set, you could be handing off, you can see down here, he's got this little drive plugged in here, and then that is basically uploading it to the cloud. I mean, I guess you still need computers and stuff like that. So, and I'm not sure if this does any like proxy creation within it, because I haven't done a deep dive into this. But you've got, if we go down the bottom, where are we? All right, so the versions of this are, you can get an 80 terabyte one for $30,000, or 320 for built to order, if you have to ask, you don't have enough money kind of thing. I think a lot of people might buy this sort of 8 terabyte one for $3,000, or this will probably be like, this Blackmagic Cloud Pod could be like the next A10 Mini type scenario, where for $400 this gets you into the game with 10G Ethernet, and you can plug in a media on site and then have it upload to the cloud, so that an editor back at base can start cutting it. So, and this is, I guess, the other way of keeping everything in sync across the network. So that's another thing to check out if you are interested in remote editing solutions. I think it's like, I think that's the, what am I doing here? I think it's the way of the future. I mean, if you think about throwing around a Word doc on email between you and a client of like, what's the script going to be, versus let's just jump onto Google Docs and we can do a live edit together and we can delete things and change it around. Like this is the same sort of thing where you can have an assistant editor who is basically getting all of the rushes and consolidating it down to just a selects, so that a producer can look at, instead of looking at 2 hours of shoot material, they can be looking at 7 minutes of like really great stuff, and then they can just mark things on a timeline, and the editor can just move faster. So I think it's going to like accelerate editing, and it's also, we're in the post-pandemic era. In this post-pandemic era, this is something where location shouldn't be a requirement. We should be able to go on a shoot somewhere in the world and somewhere completely else could be editing it. So that'll probably also open up editing opportunities for people in different countries. So you could be shooting in the US and sending your footage over to Philippines or India, or if you've got like a really great team there of people who could like plow through like a lot of things and get the edit into shape for you. So I think it's I think it is going to be a game changer. I think it's early days for it. It's still the 18 beta version, and as you saw on my computer, it was like continually crashing, which wasn't happening a couple of days ago, but for whatever reason, it is crashing. So yeah. All right. Dun, dun. What's he saying? Is there a commenting tracking notes submitted feature for the client sign-off purposes? What is the intended feedback for a collaboration project? There is, I haven't really used it, but I think you can have like timeline comparisons. So you can have like an A timeline, and then when changes are made, you can see it'll show you like what's been changed on it, and then you can like accept it or not. And then also for collaboration within here. Are we here? Yeah. So mine's crashed. So if I get this, see if I get this little fella going again. I wonder if it's the Intel. Maybe it's the Intel Mac. Maybe they just want M1s now. Don't know what that is. Don't know why that's unreliable. But I would imagine it should work across Windows and Mac too. I don't know. Did this pop up? No. Let me have a look. I'm just trying to bring up I'm just rebooting the other computer here. And I'm going to go into live stream test, I think we're in. Yeah. Please disable dynamic project switching in order to continue. Multiple. Cannot enable collaboration. Close. And I can't get it up at the moment. But where you would go is under down here. You can see all the people that are. Oh, I'm sorry. It'll just pull me off screen. Down here is where you can see the people who are in the project. You can have like different colors for different people, and you can have a chat and send that through. So you can chat within the application as well. Yeah. All right, another question. Let's get back to screen here. Oh, sorry, I'll pull this one up again. In my opinion, Jules says, in my opinion, is it hard to adapt Companion to the YOLO Box Pro? What might the wait be? I haven't used YOLO Box. They did reach out ages ago, but we never quite got a project set up. And I know a lot of the other guys are using them, like Aaron's, I think, at NAB with it. So I think it certainly has its place. And I made a sort of ATEM hack version of it last year, as you might have seen on the channel. And so, yeah, I haven't had a chance to try YOLO Box with Companion. But it could be something like maybe in the GitHub, someone could build a module for it. I don't think there is one yet, but I'm sure it would be possible, and probably it would be a good thing for people to build, because it feels like they're gaining momentum, and that like tiny little streaming box has a lot of potential. I'd be really curious to check out a YOLO Box Max or Mini or whatever the new one is. also for like Instagram, I think that's a big promise because it's like legit in terms of Instagram's terms of service rather than using what was that? Not Yellow Duck. It was like some sort of duck thing. Some application that was allowing you to kind of hack your way into getting a stream onto Instagram, which is actually sort of technically breaking their terms of service. So you would definitely not want to do that with a big brand because it's not very trustworthy and you could do a lot of damage to their account. So using something like the YOLO box on an Android, which has Instagram, and it's bringing in professional camera feeds rather than a sort of, mobile phone camera, that is something where there would be a big potential to do a professional live stream on Instagram. So I think that'd be cool. Yeah. Eric says along those lines that he doesn't know if there are any third-party controllers for YOLObox. So yeah, I think I'm sure someone out there can probably build one. Yeah, Martin says he's looking to purchase some cameras and as a one-man band really like the possibilities of PTZ. Would you still recommend your Canon CRN 300s, which is what you're looking at here, if you're buying them today? Yeah, I think there's like a tool for a job. I was very pleased this morning that I got a notification from B&H that my Canon R5C has finally shipped. It's been like 3 months on back order. And so that'll be arriving on Monday, which is going to be just in time for a client job that I have next week, which would be a perfect sort of adaptation of that camera in terms of gimbals. Actually, I want to do a show one day on, I don't know what to call it. I'd probably say like lens mounts, because over the years, and I came from the sort of 5D Mark II world and, have a C200 and that kind of thing now. So, and all of my lenses have been EF until recently, it's been RF. And so because I do photo and video, I have built things around lenses that I can use for both with the EF mount. So it's, you definitely need the right camera for the job, because there's some things that the C200 or 300 and 500 are just better for. And the PTZ cameras are very much in the live streaming school of things. I mean, I would maybe record some like seminars or that kind of stuff and just record it to the ATEM via that, because the PTZ cameras don't, like, you can't record internally, so you're sending out a signal and then you have to capture that. So you could record that into 4K with a recorder, or into HD with the ATEM Mini Pro, ISO, Extreme, that kind of stuff. But what I've liked about the Canon PTZs is that they're just always on. Like, so I'll walk into the studio, flick everything on, and I have this shot. This shot that you're looking at now, that kind of just pops up. And there's no fooling around with trying to get the 5D Mark whatever onto a tripod, because this is always mounted here. And then I have my top-down shot, which is from the ceiling camera. So I've got two of those cameras. So it's been really good to have those cameras, and I think also for one-person band type shoots where you want to pre-program things, so that you can do what do we got here? Speed, so these sort of maneuvers where you are pulling out very slowly. Apparently, I might speed this up just because this is too fast. All right, so you can like, as you've seen me do at the start of the show, like I'll start from here and then I can actually like move into a shot. And then if you're setting up something on a desk and you're off center, so like I'm here, but like previously I obviously had been like setting it for here. That is where I can, where are we? I can like readjust this shot, and there we go. So just say this is my new position for angle 3, and I've locked that one in. So now when I go back to the wide shot, if I recall that, it's going to come back to the same position. So that was me sitting here and punching a few buttons in. Like if I was to do that with a normal camera, I would be being like, I think it's over here, and then I would run over to the camera and like reframe, and they'd be like, oh, I'm off a bit, and so it makes it much easier if you're operating on your own. Not to mention that when you get into a live stream situation, you can get these cameras for wide shots, or even for programming a move, or like a wide and like zooming in. So I think they're well worth it. Depends on the jobs that you do, and the quality's okay. I think like I'm happy with the quality of this image because of the lighting, and I've got like I've got 2 aperture 300Ds and stuff like that, and a light here. But I think as long as you can set the gain of these cameras at 0, then it doesn't get too noisy, and it's not too bad. So yeah, if you've got the money, go for it, I would say, because I think they're fun. They're fun. Like I can just sort of reposition things, but they're also practical in terms of saving on camera person fees and all that kind of stuff. If you want to get things going, and even in the COVID sort of everyone, like, because I'm still doing shoots where people are masked up and they're worried about COVID and all that kind of stuff. So I've had some scenarios where they're like, well, we don't want people in the room because there's too many bodies and stuff. So that's where I can have a PTZ camera in the room with the talent, and we can be somewhere else controlling it. So it definitely has its place. Walter says, would you use the Cloud Pod? If you would use the Cloud Pod, do you still need the project server? $5 a month. Yes. Yeah, they're different things. So the project server is, in terms of file size, that's very small. We're talking like, it's like a project file. You know, like if you share an EDL or a Resolve file, it's usually kilobytes, although I think with Resolve now it's maybe megabytes. So it's kind of like that Word doc thing, which is basically text of saying like, put this shot here and put that there and all that kind of stuff. So all of that data for the project is stored in the cloud. And that's the kind of traffic controller, which is referencing, use this media at this time code and play it from here and all that kind of stuff. So, and then the media itself, as you saw me with Dropbox, that's where you need to then have a local copy, both where you are and where the remote person is, because that is just, the latency is like you're not going to get playback on a drive. These Western Digital ones that are USB 3 but run actually like super slow. This is really just like backup. Like I wouldn't even be able to edit RAW off this locally, let alone do something across the internet. So you definitely need to go either the proxy route or like RAID drives and that kind of stuff. Yeah, but well worth it. I would say it's $5 a month. That's so cheap. Grab a month. Like, think of that as a streaming service. Like, that's like 1 month of Apple TV or something. I would say grab it and do a month and try it out. And then if you don't like it, cancel it the next month. You might find it's not a workflow that you need because you're not collaborating with people. But if you are collaborating with people, like if you have an assistant editor, or even if you have like people who are color grading for you or doing sound, it's a way to not be sending off, think about doing color grading, right? Like you need, if you're getting a like professional color grader, or colorist, the workflow used to be picture lock, export that as either one clip or maybe with handles. You've got like these ProRes files that you're like packaging up and then you're sending off to the colorist. They're doing their color thing, and then they send it back, and then you got to relay it in. And then what happens? The client says like, oh, I don't like this shot. Can we change something? And you're like, no, we can't, because it's like picture locked, and that's what we meant when we said locked. So now it's just like, it takes that headache away. So if there do need to be last minute changes, that's not, it's really not a big lift, and it's very sort of dynamic in the way that it handles everything. So I think there's a lot of promise here for things to get simpler and easier. Yeah. Eric thinks the CRN 300s are smooth and fluid for PTZ and well worth the money. Yeah, it's also like, because these PTZs from Canon were I think they're about 2,700, and then the 500 version of that, which has a bigger sensor, and it has XLR inputs, which looks kind of cool. It has a not as long of a zoom range. So technically it should be maybe better image quality on the 500 version, but it's also double the price. So I think for like, if I'm shooting something at very high quality, I'm going to be shooting, you know, on C200, or like we're renting Reds or whatever else for that kind of project. For live streaming, you need to be a bit more nimble, and the ability to program scenes and then recall different shots, like that is the value for me, as opposed to like the image quality is slightly better for a live stream. You know, like people are used to phones for live streaming and all that kind of stuff. So if you rock in with a PTZ CRN 300, you're already like a long way ahead on that. So I think the flexibility that the robotic movements gives, and the ability too for like that camera to just be on all day. If you think about like your, if you had a mirrorless camera and that's just on all day in the studio, then like you're kind of burning out your sensor and not really getting the life of the camera. Whereas I think these PTZ cameras are a little more sort of built for just long lengths of streaming and that kind of stuff. Yeah. All right, guys. Well, I think that is all we have time for today. We are getting towards the top of the hour. Thanks for bearing with me. I know I had a little trouble there at the beginning of the show. I don't know what that was going on. I think, as I said, I'm going to blame the ATEM, maybe? I don't know. Internet ATEM? Let's blame the ATEM. I think it was the ATEM, because I rebooted that and then it was okay. So I think that might have been, I don't know, something in the cache. I got to look into that. Yeah, until next week, have a great weekend, and I will be back on Monday, I think. It was a little bit later this week just because we had the live stream on Monday with John, which was good, and then just like it's been an intense week. I think this time of year is just really intense. There's a ton of stuff going on, lots of work, which is great. But you know, it's trying to like find time to slip in these like little live streams. So if you have any other comments about, I know we didn't get onto Companion or anything today, but think about that for next week if you want to drop that into the chat. And I will see you on Monday at 11 a.m. And until then, have a great week, and do something fun on the weekend. Have some fun. Stop working. Go out and do. That's what I tell myself. Go out and have some fun.